In this video, we will review the journal entry capabilities in Redwood Finance Automation. We'll start by going through a few of the dashboards, then show you a few examples of how users interact with the application, including fully automated journal entries and manual journal entries, and then finally tie it up by showing how journals can also be viewed or visualized through a closing task management dashboard. The first dashboard that we're going to look at is a journal entry summary. You have several different views of dashboards that you can change by toggling through the different screens. Some of the examples of dashboards that exist in the journal entry solution are credit and debits view, a variance analysis view, runtime view, timing insights, an audit view, and then finally journals by individual users and analytics on top of the users. So for this view, we're basically looking at the journal entry summary. You have several ways that you can filter the data, which controls what the list is below. I can look at this across a company code, a region, a workday, any number of periods, a fiscal year, or I can narrow down the deadline of when journals are in various statuses. Over here I can also filter on statuses or combine filters to use status and then by country. As I click on this, you'll see that the journals by region will change. And I also have a map over here where I can click into the various different countries and change the view in terms of what I see from a statistical perspective and also from a list view. The view that I've chosen, I'm looking at journals that are in an approval state for my shared service center in Brazil. The list will reflect the filters that I've applied. And basically from any one of these line items on the list, I can drill into the details of the journal entry. Once I've drilled into the journal, I can see the progress. So since I know that this one was at the approval state, I can see that the status is waiting. I can also look at things such as when was this journal planned to be completed or start, when it actually started, and once it's finally approved and posted, I can see when it actually ended and then measure the duration. This is useful from an SLA perspective to make sure that you're meeting and posting required deadlines for journal entries. There's also a tab so I can see where the journal is sitting or who the journal is sitting with, and then any messages related to that. As we said before, there's several different types of journals. From an automation perspective, this would be an example of a partially automated journal entry. And let me explain that. I can see that this journal is sitting in an individual's inbox, and it's simply waiting for this person to confirm this journal entry. By confirming this journal entry, it will then pass through the next stages of the process, including additional approvers if required, or if business rules drive that, such as materiality or P&L impact, validate the journal, post it in the appropriate ERP system, and then provide back supporting documentation that shows that the journal was posted properly in the right account with the correct amounts. The next piece that we'll go through is how do individuals either submit journal entries or how can they interact with automation in order to approve journal entries. This is the journal entry request screen, and as you can see, there are several different types of journal entries that we can use or submit from this particular screen. These can be segmented by ERP system, by company code, by types of journals, however logically it makes sense for individuals to be able to go in there and submit journal entries. You can also restrict the type of journal entries that an individual may be able to submit by locking down the credentials or the user access to certain types of journals. So in this case, as we said, let's go through everything from a fully automated journal entry to really a manual journal entry. So from a user's perspective, if they need to make an ad hoc journal entry request, they can simply go and click on the journal type. So in this case, we're going to request an Amex accrual. And by clicking and confirming this is the journal that I want to post, you'll see what's happening over here from a status perspective. So basically, we're getting the Amex documentation. We're converting and transforming the file in order to be able to populate the journal voucher, and then we're simply going to check to see if this needs approval. In this case, since I said it was fully automated, no approval will be required, and this journal is simply going to post. Now, as with most journals, and we'll look at this at the end, if these journals are intended to be part of a closing checklist, more than likely they would be scheduled. So the user wouldn't have to come in here and actually click on a journal in order to post it. That would be scheduled, and it could also be triggered by a dependency. A good example of that in this case would be once we have the appropriate information from Amex, so the file comes in of current period charges, Redwood Automation could grab that file, pull it in, and start the journal process specifically from there. Leave accrual. This would be an example of a semi-automatic journal entry. And the reason why it's semi-automatic is because this one actually requires an approval. So if a user were to click on the journal entry for calculating a leave accrual, what we'll see here is that it's going to go out. The platform will go out to the various systems that are needed to provide the data for this journal type, retrieve that data, combine the data where necessary, perform the calculations, so that when I receive this journal template back, it's fully automated from a calculation perspective, and the only requirement that I have as a user is to check and see that the data is correct, the calculation is correct, with the right support, and it's reflected in the journal voucher. Once the automation has occurred, you'll see a familiar screen here. My inbox will appear. What will be provided is the instructions that I need to follow. I will have all the information that I need to then review to make sure that the support is correct, along with the fully populated journal voucher. And in this case, all I have to do is simply confirm that this information is correct. Once I've done that, you'll see that my name now appears with my actions and when this action occurred. This is an important step because all of this information is captured so that we have a full audit trail of the source data, supporting documentation, the calculation, the actual journal, the user action, as well as the posting log, posting data to support that the journal was posted properly. As a user, I also have the ability directly from this screen to attach additional support that's necessary or any additional notes to fully support the journal entry and why it was posted. And then lastly, this would be an example of a partially automated journal entry, and really this is more of a control. When I go in here and request a planned journal entry, what this will do is, again, I will go into my user inbox, and this is simply retrieving a version controlled compliant journal form so that I have the ability to then go in here and make modifications. This will provide a compliant version controlled journal form. So as a user, what I would need to do is now go in here and make the necessary changes and then add any support through my inbox. So then this journal could be routed to the appropriate approver, attach the support the ERP, validate, post, and then store all the documentation necessary for the journal. This is also presented to the user from an inline version of Excel so that they can directly edit this in the browser without the need to have to go save a file locally and then re-import it or reattach it as part of the journal process. And finally, to wrap this up, journal entry management is just one part of the finance automation capabilities within Redwood. So if these journals are part of your period end close, task management, or task list, those will also appear as part of your close. So for example, some of the journals that we have listed here are accruals, which can clearly be completed through journal entry management, but they're also reflected as a task within the close period summary. Make sure to check back here frequently, as we will have other videos on different parts of the Redwood Finance Automation solution. There are other videos that we explain the task management capabilities, the balance sheet reconciliation capabilities, and intercompany capabilities that should be available within this same YouTube channel. Thanks.